welcome back. Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of the Working Class Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Director Warren, aka Stalin Warren. I always forget the order that I do my name whenever I intro myself. But anyway, welcome back. Thank you guys for watching. If you're subscribed, thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. The mainstay of this channel is the Working Class Gamer Podcast, but I do gaming clips and everything from time to time. Right now, I'm just getting back into the swing of things. The podcast is my main focus, but I also stream on this channel as well as post gameplays, walkthroughs, just like various random things. If I really want you to see the gameplay clip, I post it on my YouTube as well, but definitely for the podcast. Turn those notifications on so you know when I am streaming. I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what games that you guys have been playing. I've been watching movies and playing games as per usual, and I kind of want to touch on this just a little bit in the beginning of the show because we actually have a lot to cover today. Like there's just a lot going on, and there's a major shift happening in the culture, and I think are going to have a lot more influence over what is going to happen next in these next like 7 to 10 years in gaming than we normally think we do as consumers. So I'm excited to talk about what I have set for today's episode. Shout out to my producer, the only other person behind this podcast, Shay, helping me compile all this information and get it together. Like I told you guys earlier, I'm trying to turn this podcast into something that doesn't already exist in the gaming podcast space. I mean, we're a gameplay heavy podcast, but sometimes there are things that demand our attention that we have to speak on that don't really have to do with the games that we're playing today. And today's episode is an example of that. So I appreciate her for helping me put this information together. But yeah, something I did want to touch on really quickly before I get into the mainstays is I recently saw Predator Badlands. And first of all, one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Like, we still have a couple months left, but I don't really know. Avatar is the only other obvious banger that I'm looking forward to. And, you know, every winter there's always like some indie film that kind of catches my attention at the very last minute that like I feel like I have to go see in theaters or whatever, yada, yada, yada. But it was really good to go to this genre movie, this blockbuster in November, you know, in IMAX 3D, and just like it's you know, it's Predator post Fox acquisition from Disney. I mean, it's the second film in this since that acquisition. The first one being Prey. The same director is the one behind the camera on this one, Dan Trachtenberg. He also did 10 Cloverfield Lane and another Predator movie on Hulu called Killer of Killers that I haven't seen yet, but I'm definitely going to watch. But Badlands was really cool. It was about a Yautja. That's the species name. But he basically is not good enough to be in his clan essentially, and finds himself on a remote. Well, it's not a remote planet, but it's just a death-filled planet. The animals are crazy, the plants are crazy, and there's some other things going on with Weyland-Yutani, which for my alien heads out there, that is the corporation from the Alien universe. So Alien versus Predator on the way? Don't know. But that's not the reason I really wanted to talk about this movie in the context of this podcast. Predator Badlands felt like the perfect video game movie. It felt like a movie that was inspired by many different video games. Uncharted, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed. It really made me want a Predator game. I looked into Predator Hunting Grounds. That's like some asymmetrical multiplayer or something like that, whatever PvP stuff going on. I'm not really interested in that, but like the movie made me yearn for an open world Predator experience. And like there's a bit of that in Ghost Recon Breakpoint where or is it Wildlands or Breakpoint? I think it's Breakpoint, where you have a mission where you have to face the Predator in the jungle, but you're playing as one of the ghosts, you're playing as your soldier or whatever that you created. But I want a Predator game on a planet, an exotic planet with animals and things to hunt, and like maybe even a story in the back, like just something to carry you through. But maybe you design like akin to like Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, you design your own Yautja, and you know, it's like a Far Cry type, Assassin's Creed type hybrid, because there was different, like, it was just the way it reminded me of games because of the way the movie showcased like his arsenal, his weapons, And like, it just brought me back to certain games that have similar things going on. Like, it made me want to play Tomb Raider, which I still have not played, but that is, I know that playthrough is on the way. We'll talk about what I've been playing in the meanwhile. But yeah, Predator Badlands just like was a really great movie. If you're into that type of stuff, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you watch it while it's in theaters. Because it just like, it made me miss the air. Like, we totally would have got an Xbox 360 PS3 game for this back in the early 2010s. Like, we 100% would have got one of those. I miss licensed movie games. Another movie I watched recently that kind of had me in that mindset was Transformers 1, the animated Transformers from last year that nobody saw in theaters, or at least not enough people saw in theaters, but we'll see. It streamed really well. I would love to see Transformers 2. Like, I would love to continue just enjoying that universe and exploring that universe, that just the Cybertron era. But that made me like, I mean, can we get a War for Cybertron remaster or continuation in that series or something? Like, because that kind of had elements of just like, I mean, it was animated and it had a really great style. So that kind of put me in that headspace, but not like Predator Badlands did though. Like, that's just, to me, I can't say it's a golden opportunity, but if you're spending 40 to 60 million on games like Days Gone and Ghost of Yotei, I feel like it's possible to do something like that. Like, it doesn't have to, it just has to run really well. Like, you could do a RoboCop, Rogue City for Predator. And I think that would be really cool. Like, something ultra violent, a lot of gear, a lot of abilities, a mix of stealth and action, melee, shooting, all kinds of stuff. Like, I wouldn't want it first person either. I would want it third person, but I wouldn't be mad if it was first person. Again, like Avatar, or a first person, third person hybrid. But that'd be so dope. That'd be so dope. But that was a great movie. Like, I saw it a week ago and I've been thinking about it a whole week. But and it kind of led me into this game that I'm playing now, which is Star Wars Outlaws. And if you guys would just please just allow me a lane to give praise to this game that I feel like was not given a fair shake. It came out last year. It's not really relevant to today's news or anything anymore. It was barely relevant when it came out, honestly. And that, even saying that, might be a bit unfair to it because there is a fan base for this game. I don't think it was as strong as Ubisoft might have wanted it to be at the time, but Star Wars Outlaws to me is proof that like Massive Entertainment is a top tier developer. Between that and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which is another one of my favorite open world experiences right now, it really transcends the movie and is its own thing. Star Wars Outlaws just feels like its own thing. It's the type of game that I want to play in the Star Wars universe. Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order are both really, really good games. And like, when I'm in the Jedi mood, I'm glad that they exist. And they're very accessible. If you've got Game Pass or EA Play on PlayStation, like, they're very accessible games that you can easily download for less than $10. But I like a lot of people were cosplaying as a Mandalorian on the PC version of Starfield, like through mods and stuff. But this gameplay loop is the closest you'll get to a Mandalorian video game, in my opinion. And it's very cinematic. And I like when a game is obviously cinematic and obviously leaning into what it is to be a cinematic video game. First of all, the black bars, like, whether you have an ultra wide monitor or not, you can get the ultra wide or widescreen experience. I think that is super dope because every time I see Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, really, what's that game called? Oh my goodness, it's an R word, something. It's a PS5 exclusive, and it's a Housemarque game. Returnal, I've seen ultra wide. Borderlands ultra wide. Like, anything I see ultra wide on PC, like, if I had a PC, it would be very high end, and like, I'll get into that stuff later. But if I had a real PC setup the way I wanted it to be, it'd be 4K ultra wide. So I appreciate them giving us that illusion on console, because it's not ultra wide resolution, but it is widescreen. It's presented in an anamorphic aspect ratio, and it just makes it even more cinematic when you're walking through the cantinas, the markets of the towns that you end up at. The cutscenes also, like because sometimes you have games, right, that do the cutscenes with the black bars and their widescreen to kind of help you differentiate between the gameplay and the rendered cutscenes or whatever. But like Assassin's Creed does it, Ghost of Yotei does it. But I like it just being kind of uniform. It's still obvious when it goes into a heavily designed, pre-rendered cutscene, but it just maintains a cinematic flair throughout, and it's able to move in between the 30 FPS cinematic cinematics basically versus the 60 FPS gameplay. I'm playing in quality mode on PS5 Pro, so I get 60 FPS in quality mode. I'm actually not using PSSR. I'm using the AMD FSR 3, which is very interesting, and I'll get into that with the next topic. Just the fact that that's on PS5, because it looks fine. The PSSR is a little funky in motion. The way I play this game, at least, I don't play it slow enough for the PSSR to, because it looks great, but once I start moving how I do, when you're moving left to right really fast while aiming and stuff, you can kind of see a little bit of the fringing and stuff or whatever. The FSR 3 is a little bit better, but they're very identical. It just comes down to how it looks to you. But it's a beautiful game nonetheless. Wonderful presentation. Like when you boot it up, if you have an OLED monitor or TV or any mini LED, just a really nice like HDR setup. The way the game boots up and its colors and contrast and all, it's just really, really cinematic all the way into starting the game. But beyond just the cinematic qualities, it also plays really well. I know that it took it a minute, you know, it took Massive a little while to, not too long, but like it wasn't a Cyberpunk situation, but they were steadily updating the game, getting the controls right. By the time it landed on Switch 2, it was done, you know, with all of its updates and stuff. They really supported that game. Lot of good DLC for it, and it's Ubisoft, so you can always catch it on sale if you already have the game. You can get the season pass for the low. You know, sometimes you'll catch the Ultimate Edition for $40 off. Like it's worth it, and I only have the base game right now, but I will get the season pass if I beat the main story, because this is a game that you can play a lot of. I have a little bit of issue with like the menu design and stuff, as far as like directing you to different like collectibles and things like that are on the map, but I like the way that the world is laid out, because you can go from planet to planet. Like it took me 10 hours to get to the point where like my ship was repaired enough for me to leave the planet I was on and go to the next one. I spent a lot of time on the starting planet just getting into the gameplay loop and everything, but I do prefer the way that they handle planets in this game versus Starfield. I don't know, I know that there's not nearly as many planets in Star Wars Outlaws as there is Starfield, but Outlaws is a great example for why we hire artists and why we hire designers like world designers and 3D artists and renderers and things like that, because when you handcraft worlds versus using procedural generation, even though the things that are procedurally generated are man-made objects and colors and systems and things like that, handcrafted worlds, if you have the capacity to build that game with a dozen handcrafted worlds, I'll take that any day of the week over being able to access 12 million procedurally generated worlds. That's just me. I'm a big fan of art direction. I'm a big fan of intention, really, in any sort of art that I engage with, film, TV, and video games. So Outlaws, for me, being able to go from a city into the open world of the planet to the next like settlement on that planet to another settlement on that planet and hideouts and all that kind of stuff. I almost didn't even record this episode tonight, but the news ended up being really pressing. I'm proud of myself. I'm honestly proud of myself. The news ended up being pressing, and just like, it's like, I need to find some discipline, but I almost just played this game because I was playing my footage in the background while I was doing pre-production, and I was just like, dude, I want to like hop right back into it, because it's like, it is the Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora in their own ways are the best of Ubisoft. Like they're the best of Ubisoft's design. I might currently hold Outlaws in a higher regard than I do Assassin's Creed Shadows. I really like Kay Vess as a character. I like all of the side characters I met so far. Like I just met the droid who's on the cover, so he's like a side character. He's not a sidekick, but he is a side character. It's the kind of Star Wars that I enjoy. Like I really like season 1 of The Mandalorian. What it became this is not the podcast to talk about what it became, but that first season of The Mandalorian, just that like space Western vibe, bounty hunter, no special powers, just a really good shot with his ship and all that kind of stuff. I really like that vibe because Star Wars has always had the potential for an expansive, colorful, diverse universe. And that's always been my issue with the movies, is that they kind of lacked that, like the alley-oop for, and it's not just diversity in the human characters, even though it's not the greatest in the movies, but like the type of aliens that George Lucas, the precedent he set for the type of aliens you interact with in Star Wars is really cool. Like you weren't encountering, it's not like Mass Effect. Like you're not always encountering a super high intelligent like alien race hellbent on destroying everything and absorbing. No, it's like this is an intergalactic community, an interplanetary community of people, and it's the potential for stories is really great. So I'm enjoying Outlaws for what it is. I love a good third person cover shooter that's like less covery than Gears of War. Like I like it. Ghost Recon is another. Ubisoft is a great developer. I might be a Ubisoft stan, maybe, but they're a great developer. Like they have great games. They're not always the best games, but they make great games. They make great games. The games that they make and the genres that they make them, they are of the upper echelon of their respective genres. Like the games that exist, like Avatar is to me just as valid of a first-person RPG experience as Cyberpunk, honestly. Like Cyberpunk is a better game, but Avatar is at least worth a look. If you're not somebody like, people are like, yo, should I play Cyberpunk? I would answer it with the same excitement and fervor that I would if you were to ask me about Avatar. You know what I mean? If you were asked for that recommendation, I would give you a glowing recommendation for both because they are worth your curiosity, I'll say. So yeah, really loving Star Wars. I really love just bring back cinematic gaming, like not even bring it back because we do it, but lean into it just a little bit more. Like give me, I really thought the Death Stranding director's cut was gonna let me do widescreen on PS5, and it doesn't. And it's like that would be really dope. The Ghost of Yote marketing fooled me too, because there were certain gameplay sections, and it does it when you're on the horse, and it is really nice. But I was really hoping we could do that for the whole game, like fighting while you've got the black bars, creating your own movie scenes in real time. Like I feel like there's a desire for those types of games in the gaming community. So I don't know, whatever. Play Star Wars Outlaws, catch it on sale. It's worth full price, but like I bought it for $35 and it's a brand new $40 disc, like anywhere, any of the big box stores. I'm not going to name them because they don't sponsor me, but any big box store, get it on the PlayStation Store for the low, catch it on sale, Xbox Store, whatever. It's worth it. At this point, it's worth it. I don't know what it was at launch, but if you like Star Wars, if you love Star Wars, this is up there with Jedi Survivor in terms of like must play right now, today in 2025, in terms of what's on offer for Star Wars. Like this is some of the best. And I'm excited to continue with it. So with that said, let's get into gaming because also prayers up to Ubisoft. I don't know what they got going on. They did not release their financial quarterly report. Like they were supposed to release it today. They said, yo, we're going to hold off for a few days. Speculation is that they have an announcement about the status of the company. Like you can't even trade the shares right now. So whatever y'all got going on, I hope y'all figure it out so y'all can keep making amazing games. Because you've made in the last like year and a half, you've put out really good games. Far Cry 6 was a low point for me as a fan of Ubisoft and their output, but between Avatar, Assassin's Creed, and Star Wars Outlaws, in terms of the order that I played them, you guys have really outdone yourselves, honestly, in terms of like the design that you've committed yourselves to. And the culture war stuff and all that is unfortunate, but clearly there's an appeal. Like clearly Avatar is selling because they've been supporting that game for 2 years now, and it's about to come out with a whole nother standalone DLC tied in with the third movie. So clearly either the support is there on the relationship they have with who they're licensing Avatar from, or the game is selling well, or both is happening at the same time. And I hope Star Wars Outlaws I hope it had the same legs that Avatar did sales wise, as far as the word of mouth, because Avatar seemed to be a word of mouth it appeared to sell even more based on the word of mouth. It felt the conversation on my timeline kind of grew over time. I had that game day one, but I watched the conversation grow, and the community is very strong. There's a lot of people still playing that game. So anyway, it's about to get very interesting as far as where we play our games. Now, last episode we did talk about the state of Xbox right now versus PlayStation, the things that are speculated right now. I meant to see if I could plug my phone in, but I'm going to play this clip for you on the mic because I should have did this earlier, but I didn't do it. People are getting on the microphone and saying anything. Okay. And I guess I could save this for the final topic, but I'm going to save this clip for the final topic. But what I will say is Sony and Xbox's consoles are coming out in 2027. Nothing is coming out in 2026. Not a console, not another console. They both pretty much told us 2027. Xbox has told us what they're making, which is like a high-end PC console hybrid that I'm excited about. And then PlayStation has kind of hinted at what they're going to be doing with like a console and then handheld opportunity going on. And then also they got their cloud streaming going strong right now too. If you have a portal, you don't even need a PS5. You can just, whatever games you have in your library, if they're able to be streamed from the cloud, you can stream them directly to your PlayStation Portal with an internet connection. You just have to be a PlayStation Premium member, plus Premium member, which is like $17.99 a month, I want to say. So they're full steam ahead with their plans for building their ecosystem out even further. Xbox, we don't know what it looks like yet. We just know what their intentions are. Valve has announced their new hardware lineup for like the current generation, and current generation to me is the key with all of this. Now, one of the products of the three that they have, I was about to get ahead of myself. One of the three that they have announced is something really interesting to me, but they're doing a console. They are doing a console. I'm going to just turn here. You guys are going to have to bear with me for a second. I have an article here from Ars Technica. This comes from Kyle Orland. Is that Kyle Orland? Yeah, Kyle Orland, November 12th. So nearly 4 years after the Steam Deck changed the world of portable gaming, Valve is getting ready to release Steam OS powered hardware designed for the living room TV or even as a desktop PC gaming replacement. The simply named Steam Machine and Steam Controller, both planned to ship in early 2026, are, quote, optimized for gaming on Steam and designed for players to get even more out of their Steam library, Valve said in a press release. Those chips and numbers suggest, Steam Machine spec sheet shared by Valve lists a semi-custom 6-core AMD Zen 4 CPU clocked at up to 4.6 gigahertz, alongside an AMD RDNA 3 GPU with 28 compute units. I will translate what this means. The motherboard will include 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM and an additional 8 gigabytes of dedicated DDR6 VRAM for the GPU. The new hardware will come in two configurations with 512 gigabytes or 2 terabytes of unspecified SSD storage, though Valve isn't sharing pricing for either just yet. The chips and numbers suggest the Steam Machine will have roughly the same horsepower as a mid-range desktop gaming PC from a few years back, but Valve says its machine, which it ranks as over 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, is powerful enough to support ray tracing, and this is key, and or 4K 60 FPS gaming using FSR upscaling. So, and I'm gonna put pictures in here. It's a smaller Xbox Series X pretty much. I wonder how Microsoft feels about that look too. Like it's a better looking Xbox Series S. They've got the controller here as well, which has, it looks like a regular controller, but it has additional buttons on the back, like 4 programmable buttons on the back, and then 2 touchpads under the left and right stick. And again, I'm sharing some pictures with you guys. It is going to run on Steam OS, which it seems that Steam OS, the last time they launched Steam hardware, had some issues playing games that were made for Windows. And it seems that they are doing what they can to alleviate that issue. SteamOS has kind of been upgraded through some stuff I'm not going to read back to you, but basically it's been made to run better so that virtually any game that's available on Steam can run on that Steam Machine out of the box. So that's really cool. It's not for me though. I don't need a Steam Machine. and this is the thing, like the Steam machine for me, it appears, is going to be the type of machine depending on price. And it's interesting that they're doing a 512 gigabyte and a 2 terabyte. And I think that that's going to allow them to price this machine pretty much the same way the ROG Ally X is priced. So you have a $599 option, the 512 gigabyte version, and then that 2 terabyte version will probably be $999, maybe $1029, $1099, somewhere around there at the most. I originally thought it might be sub 800, but seeing as how they don't offer 1 terabyte and they offer 2 terabytes, that's going to allow them to probably charge just under $1,000, if not $899. $899 at the lowest, I'm speculating. So for me, because of now, yes, the Steam library of games, that's probably the cheapest way to buy games today. We all know that the sales are crazy, Steam summer sale, all that kind of stuff. It is the cheapest way to buy games. Probably cheaper than PlayStation Store and Xbox Store. Massive library of just about every game that's ever came out. You know what I mean? And because this is like Linux and all that sort of stuff, there are workaround ways to put on emulators and all that sort of thing. So you can really open up this console if you want to, in the context of this kind of space where you see I have like a TV as my monitor, or you have a monitor, you have a desk. And you're like me and you prefer controller. Because even if I had the kind of PC rig I would want to build, I would use a controller. So I'm not saying that like this Steam machine is not amazing as far as like what it is offering itself to be. Because 4K 60 FPS gaming is really cool. And the average gamer is not really going to be able to notice, or they're not going to feel like they're missing anything for not having like 4K 60 ultra settings on this. It'll probably be 4K 60 max high, depending on how optimized whatever game you're playing is. But I don't see it being more than like mid-range in terms of the level of detail and lighting effects and all that kind of stuff. If you're doing 4K 60 resolution, and you are going to need to implement FSR3 on there too to get those frame rates. So I saw some of the articles when I was reading it on my phone, like after it was announced yesterday, saying that it had HDMI 2.0, which meant it could do 4K 120. That is not true. If you read that anywhere, and I probably should have confirmed if it had this, it needs to have HDMI 2.1 to be able to have 4K 120 with VRR. If it's just HDMI 2.0, it can only do 4K 60 output, and it also has DisplayPort via USB-C, DisplayPort 1.4, which gives you even more options. I think 4K 240, 4K 120, at least 4K 120. So that's good. Definitely marketed towards, this is like a dorm room type of vibe. This is a college kid. This is a new age college student, honestly, that is not burdened by having to pick between Xbox or PlayStation. This is perfect for somebody who does not have that. If I didn't have a PlayStation 5 Pro and the games that I already have on that library, this would be very appealing to me, but I already have a console. You're not going to be able to play Grand Theft Auto 6 day one on the Steam machine. It's not happening. However, you do get access to one of the, if not the largest library of video games on offer. It's the largest storefront right now today. And you get to play those games at a pretty high clip, a pretty modern setting, right? But I when I buy things, I kind of keep the future in mind. And it's kind of the same thing with the Steam Deck. Like at least the Xbox Ally X, it appears to be a really just kind of forward thinking system in terms of the technology and just the architecture of it all, versus the Steam Deck. Like I am looking for the highest fidelity just in anything. I have a PS5 Pro, so if there's an opportunity for the highest fidelity, I'm going to take it. There's no reason for me to buy this because it's not going to give me more than what I get. Arguably, the PS5 Pro is more powerful than this Steam machine. This is just a base PS5 Xbox Series X in terms of quality and specs. So the pricing is going to be key on that one. That controller is probably going to be no more than $79.99, $89.99. And for what it is, if you're audio on PC, that's a really nice controller. It would be dope if it worked on like Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, but whatever. The third item that they have on offer is of pretty big interest to me, and that is the Steam Frame. So Valve has announced a brand new VR headset. It's called the Steam Frame, and it's set to launch next year. While pricing is not yet confirmed, I've been to Valve HQ to try it out and get all the details. This isn't the Valve Index 2, it's something quite different, but it should still appeal to hardcore VR users and new users alike. Essentially, I'm not going to read everything. This is a device that you can kind of add on to your PC. You can add this onto your PC so that you can get a premier VR, like PC VR experience. But it'll be able to do it wirelessly. You won't have to like just wire it up, dongle it up or whatever. I think that's really cool. Good for them. What I'm interested in is the fact that this runs games standalone. It does not need to be connected to a PC, and it also doesn't have to get them from the cloud. It's essentially, it reads to me as a VR headset with the power of the Steam Deck and a very specific type of software, a specific type of architecture that allows it to run. They say that you can run any game in the Steam library on the Steam Frame. We'll see if that turns out to be true. But I like the idea, especially at the right price. I like the idea of buying a VR headset that I can put a micro SD XC card that's like 2 terabytes, put that in there and have The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk and Titanfall 2 and stuff like that. And in the marketing for the Steam Frame, when they show the Steam Big Picture mode, the games that are in the carousel, like on the home page, the SteamOS homepage, the games in the carousel are, yeah, this article was like super long, are Destiny 2, Witcher 3, Titanfall 2, F120, is that F124 or 25? Let me see. I gotta zoom in. It says F122. So that's interesting. Like I said, and it does say that it's gonna have like they're working on a verified system. So on the Steam store, you can see games that are like verified for the Steam Deck. Games will now have a badge that says that they're verified for the Steam Frame. If you can verify Starfield for the Steam Frame, I'd rather play it on that than I would on PS5 Pro. If Star Wars Outlaws is available on Steam and via my Uplay client, if I can access my cloud save on Steam, like that's worth it to me, because big picture mode, a virtual 100-inch screen, that's really dope. And for like $5.99, $6.99, I'd be willing to buy something like that. So I'm interested to see. Like it runs on a proprietary like Snapdragon processor or whatever. It's not the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, but it is a pretty high end one. So I'm interested to see like just how powerful it is, because being able to just pop it in there, use the controller that comes with it, and I think maybe you'll be able to connect this new Steam controller to it. If I can just play games with my VR headset on, that sounds really cool to me. So anyway, so yeah, this is interesting to me because I'm interested to see how it's going to. We're being ushered into a new type of console war, right? Like it's not just Microsoft versus Xbox anymore. We know that Nintendo is their own thing and they will always be their own thing. But in terms of like the Western console war, right? Like, and Sony, even though Sony's a Japanese company, the PlayStation feels like a Western first console. It feels like they prioritize their Western markets. So that's why I say that. But this is interesting. Access to the library. I'm still, again, because of the type of gamer that I am, the Xbox, the next whatever that is more appealing to me. They've said themselves that this is going to be a high-end PC hybrid, so it'll have, we're seeing it's not called, what's it called? It's not Xbox OS, it's called something, but the Xbox OS, if you will, for the Xbox Ally X, it's a new version of like Windows 11 that prioritizes gaming essentially, and it's rolling out to other, I guess you could update your PC to kind of run that way if you wanted to, but it will be the main, like, just operating system of this new Xbox. And so because they're saying it's going to be high end, I'm sure it's going to be it has to be a next gen console experience, a next gen experience, period. It's just more appealing to me. my PlayStation library is going to be the thing that keeps me up. Like my PlayStation 5 Pro, I don't see myself not using that for at least the next 5 years. And I would probably get an Xbox before the next PlayStation just because of how it's looking, at least my personal theory of what the PS6 generation is going to look like, right? Because we know what Xbox has planned, and Xbox's thing is just being everywhere. Like they're going to have the Steam library. You're going to be able to put Steam OS on the system. You can put Steam OS on your Xbox Ally X. So you'll be able to put on the next console. You'll be able to access the Steam library and all that stuff in addition to the Xbox library. You've got Game Pass. You got all that. They just want, their focus is accessibility, and they're pricing their hardware for a specific type of buyer. They are kind of leaning into what they are, which is a premier computing experience. And it looks like all of the corporate BS to the side that they are they are forcing that philosophy into their gaming division, into Xbox. Whereas PlayStation is recognizing that we still have like 110 million active PS4 users out there, 100 million active PS4 users out there, give or take, right? And there are now 82, 83 million PS5s in the wild. So while the PS5 has outsold the Xbox officially, and I think the Xbox 360, and is selling better in terms of its pace in comparison to the PS4, because of the way this generation is gone, Sony has admitted to recognizing that we have to support the PS5 for as long as possible. And I think what you're going to see is what Xbox tried to do between the Series X and the Series S. I think PlayStation is looking to do that intergenerationally. Xbox is going to do that anyway because that's their design philosophy. This little hybrid system will also be backwards compatible. So that's going to always be there. That architecture will be there. And developers, I'm interested to see what the power output of the PlayStation 6 is going to be, given the rumors that say, hey, we're developing a docked like handheld hybrid. Like we're developing our own Switch. That's really interesting. I'm really interested to see, and it's going to apparently have the same power of like a PS4 Pro. That's all speculation, right? I'm interested to see what that looks like versus Xbox versus the Steam machine. The Steam machine is not going to be the highest selling console, but it's going to sell enough to keep Valve relevant for another 15, 20 years. They were already going to be relevant off the strength of their store. This is just a good way for them to cement themselves in your gaming experience, wherever that is, your dorm, your living room, your office, your bedroom, whatever. That's what hardware is the key. You got to have good software. Software is where your consumers are going to come to continuously engage, continuously purchase things. But the hardware is what separates, like Apple from Spotify. Like that's what separates the two. So yeah, I think we're entering a new type of console war, and like I think we got the scare with the tariffs and everything, and we're still seeing in real time like how that's working itself out. But in the everything going on with silicone and all of that kind of stuff, chip shortages and new chips being constantly made, like value is going to be a huge key in a world that doesn't seem to be interested in paying people more than what they make today. Value in these entertainment experiences is going to be key in this world that we live in, where like it's just like mainstream to be struggling to put food on the table. It's just, again, that's why I like Microsoft committing to, listen, we're pricing ourselves out with Game Pass. I'm not going to engage. I don't need it. But like it is a premium offering. There's a lot on offer. The 30, it's on paper, it is worth it. But I'm not mad at them for pricing it that way. Like we have to price it that way, and we'll make more money doing it this way. If we lose 1 million people, we lose 2 million people. We still have like, I think they have like, maybe 10 million, we'll say like 8 to 10 million Game Pass subscribers at various tiers. So if you lose 3 million, but you're charging $30, like it's, 10 million people. If everybody had Ultimate, is $20 million. But if you lose 3 million, you got 7 million people paying 30. Or excuse me, my math is so off. 10 million people at $20 like a month is $200 million, right? If everybody had Ultimate at the time, that was $19.99. Yeah, that's 220 times 10 is 200. If you had 7 million people paying 30, that's 210. You know what I mean? So I get why they think they can do what they're doing right now. Whatever. I like them leaning into, listen, this is where the premier, because they've done it the best to me. Their pro, if they had a pro for this generation, it would be better than PlayStation's. They always do the high end, the high power, the high output consoles way better than everybody else. So committing to that and saying, hey, your Steam library, not only will it play over here, but it'll play really nice. You can play 4K 60 at high settings. If you're able to say that against what Valve is trying to do with their own console, you're keeping yourself competitive. So I'd rather you do what Microsoft, if you're listening, do what you can to keep that console as powerful as you possibly can, because I think that is what's going to make you way more competitive versus Steam and PlayStation. You can't beat them off what they have going on. What their strengths are your weaknesses. So you'll never be able to best. You won't be able to best Sony in the exclusivity department. It would take you 6 to 10 years to overcome your deficit because of development cycles and all that. You're not going to be able to beat Steam's library. Game Pass is a great idea and it's close, but it's just too expensive for the mass adoption that Steam has globally. So your hardware just has to be it. And people will pay that price if it's worth it. So I'll pay $1,200 if you have a really high powered system that is akin to RDNA 4 or what's the NVIDIA version? DLSS 4. Like if what you have going on is akin to the latest in PC technology or very close to it, I'm buying that system. Because there's plenty of games that I want to play on Xbox, and there will be plenty of games on Xbox in addition to multi-platform experiences and everything I can buy on Steam. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting. And then if I can I like the amount of choice on offer. I didn't even really want to talk about this for this long, but I do like the amount of choice that's going to be on offer, because if I can have a high-end Xbox console in my living room and a mid-range power PlayStation handheld, I'm super cool with that. And then a Steam VR thing for when I'm on the airplane, or just just when I still want a big screen experience, but maybe you want to watch a movie or something. And that's kind of spooky, right? Like sitting next to your loved one in the bed while they're watching their TV show and you have a freaking headset on your face playing a video game. Whatever. That's as far. Listen, I determined when I was a child how far I was willing to go with gaming, and that exact scenario is probably the farthest for me. Once they start asking us to put on suits so we can feel the shots in our chest, I'm good. You know what I mean? Once it becomes Ready Player One, I'm good. I don't even like streaming. I'm not a cloud streamer. I'll never be a cloud streamer. I don't like doing that. So it'll never be good enough for me. And it'll always have to be hard. There will need to be a disk or a chip or a storage or something. There will need to be a hard disk for me to engage with the game. And once it becomes an ever evolving AI generated, AI assisted experience, I'm not interested in any of that. Which brings me to my next topic. Let me go ahead and put myself on the tab. Arc Raiders, right? Star Wars Outlaws, I'm so grateful for, because it is scratching the itch that Arc Raiders probably would have scratched. The type of sci-fi that it is, the aesthetic it has, it's very heavily Star Wars inspired, if you ask me, as far as how it looks. We're really being, as consumers, and I guess I know I'm not speaking for everyone when I say this, but we're really, what type of gamer are you? What type of consumer are you? What is your line? Because now I heard someone describe the era we live in as a post-truth era. So let's just go with that, right? In this post-truth era, where at every tech convention, they're telling you it's powered by AI or sponsored by AI of some type. The new tech inventions that are coming out are assisted by AI, my PlayStation 5 Pro included. So let me be clear about where I am right now in the zeitgeist and my engagement with these systems. but lines are being drawn in film, television, in entertainment, in your entertainment, the thing that exists to hold your attention and nothing else. That is it. The reason there's always been a purity there, even though you get nothing out of entertainment but emotional highs and lows, right? In memories, if you will. Like, yeah, studies suggested like people who play video games have better hand-eye coordination and maybe better critical thinking skills depending on what genre you play and stuff like that. Whatever. Like I'm a proponent of that. I'm a supporter of those studies, right? But I mean, it's only so much that the average consumer can get out of video gaming. But the thing that has kept that pure, and it's the same with television, it's the same with movies, it's the same with music, is the human element. These are human beings writing, generating. Let's just use the word generating. These stories, these experiences are generated and crafted by humanity. And I will be honest with you all. I thought that I had a great idea about where I stand with these issues, where my line is. It's becoming very difficult and not even difficult. It's just nuanced. And so I am going to hold space for the nuance in the AI in your video games conversation. I will hold space for nuance. You can trust me with that. Okay. I will try to sound as unbiased for this topic and the next one. I will try my best to sound as unbiased and as practical and objective as I possibly can be. Okay. Because now we are leaving. It to me, it's a matter of principle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop yapping. Okay. And I'm going to read you this article. It comes to us from IGN, written by Vicky Blake. Okay. So just bear with me. This is a short article, so I'm going to read the whole thing. Titled Arc Raiders Publisher Defends Generative AI Use. Insists, quote, every game company is now using it. That's the headline. Excuse me. Arc Raider publisher Nexon has defended the game's use of generative AI, suggesting players should assume that every game company is now using AI. Arc Raiders, like developer Embark's 2023 shooter, The Finals, declares it uses AI in development, stating on its Steam store page, during the development process, we may use procedural and AI-based tools to assist with content creation. In all such cases, the final product reflects the creativity and expression of our own development team. I'm going to read the whole article, but the final product reflects the creativity and expression of our own development team. That is going to be, I want you all to know, that is going to be the cheat code to usher us in to this next era of AI generated content. Is that they're going to be able, these companies, these production companies, these studios, these developers, whatever, are going to be able to argue that it's still our creativity that is guiding this. Whatever. Anyway, and that may be fair, honestly, because there are people. If you put ChatGPT in front of me, there's a lot of people out there that are going to be a lot better at inputting the prompts than I am, because I don't use it. But anyway. However, in the same interview, design director Virgil Watkins added that with regards to its controversial text-to-speech... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I skipped a part. Embark expanded on this with PC Games In recently saying, Arc Raiders, quote, in no way uses generative AI whatsoever, and stressed that it is instead using something called machine learning or reinforcement learning, and that's to do with the locomotion for our larger drones with multiple legs. But there's no generative content whatsoever. However, in the same interview, design director Virgil Watkins added that with regards to its controversial text-to-speech system, it hired and contracted voice actors for it. It's part of their contract that we use AI for this purpose. And that allows us to do things like our ping system, where it's capable of saying every single item name, every single location name, and compass directions. That's how we can get that without needing to have someone come in every time we create a new item for the game. Now, in a fresh interview with GameSpark as translated by Automaton, Jung-Hoon Lee, CEO of Arc Raiders publisher Nexon, not only championed AI for improving, quote, efficiency in both game production and live service operations, end quote, but also stated, I think it's important to assume that every game company is now using AI. Who are you to, anyway? First of all, I think it's important to assume that every game company is now using AI, Lee said. But if everyone is working with the same or similar technologies, the real question becomes, how do you survive? I believe it's important to choose a strategy that increases your competitiveness. It certainly feels as though Lee's comments ring true. EA CEO Andrew Wilson has said EI is, quote, the very core of our business, end quote. And Square Enix recently implemented mass layoffs and reorganized, saying it needed to be aggressive in applying AI. Dead Space creator Glenn Schofield also recently detailed his plans to fix the industry in part via the use of generative AI in game development. Fix the industry. And former God of War dev Megan Morgantunio said, if we don't embrace AI, I think we're selling ourselves short. Conversely, Nintendo has bucked the trend, with Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto previously stressing that the company would rather go, quote, in a different direction than the rest of the video game industry when it comes to AI. That said, its use of AI clearly hasn't held Arc Raiders back. It's now sold over 4 million copies worldwide less than 2 weeks since its release date, cementing its commercial success. Nexon also revealed that the extraction shooter has reached a huge concurrent count of 700,000 players across all platforms. And then it's just more quotes about how good Arc Raiders is, whatever, and a quote from their review. Listen, let me be frank with you guys, okay? I told you I would be fair, I'll be practical. I was going to buy Arc Raiders, and I may still buy it. Reason number one, it's $39.99. We got another Helldivers 2 situation on our hands. There's a popular multiplayer game out that is multiplayer only, and the price for entry is lower than most games. It's almost half the price of most games. So that's a good place to start. The deluxe edition is $20 more, $59.99, and you get a bunch of cosmetic stuff. Cool. Don't really need that. So $39.99. I'm gonna be fair. There's no generative AI. That's cool. Procedural generation exists. That's what No Man's Sky is, but that's a man-made process, right? But we have games that have procedural generation. Starfield is another example. They exist, okay? That's how you can get these massive worlds. You go in and find videos if you're interested, but procedural generation is basically algorithms that generate the world, that generate your content, right? So you can have 1 million planets because you have algorithms to kind of organize all of the different possibilities for your planets, right? For your wildlife, XYZ. So that's fine. That's cool. My issue, and this is why AI in any space, this is why AI in any context, but particularly creation, content creation, game development, filmmaking, television, music, the arts, essentially. This is why it's so dangerous. Because it's just a shortcut to spending less money. I'll be fair with Arc Raiders because given all of this, and they've been telling us that there's a little bit of AI going on when they just had to elaborate on it recently because of releasing the game. But they've told us this prior to the game coming out. They told us this when the finals came out, but this is why I don't have the finals. Hiring and paying people to come in and say a general amount of things, a general amount of lines, and then using AI to generate the rest. Every open world game I play doesn't even tell me what item I'm pinging or whatever. I get it, and you're using it for your character and your NPCs. If you mark something and your in-game character calls it out or whatever, I get it. I just don't. You have that many items that you don't have it. You don't have this. It's not pre-recorded. You don't have it in the budget. Borderlands 4. Everybody's talking. There's mad talking. And are these games that have that going on that much bigger in their budget for voice acting? Not for everything else, but just for voice acting. Are the budgets for voice acting that much bigger than what you, Embark, are able to muster up? Nexon, you have two popular, I won't say wildly popular, they're not Fortnite, but you have two popular, successful games in the first Descendant and like, because let me be clear, the first Descendant and the final, so I can finish my thought. But let me be clear, this is Nexon. So in the first Descendant, you can buy ultimate character packs for $80, for $100 in terms of the amount of coins you got to buy those ultimate packs instead of grinding in game to get them. It's got a Warframe type of grind, so it's a little bit longer than Destiny or whatever, but if you want to just pay for it, it costs more than whole video games for one character. And there's mad characters. So if you want all the characters in the ultimate version of all these characters, you're out hundreds of dollars. So this is they're greedy anyway. That's a greedy ass business model. However you slice it, however you want to look at it, however you want to cut it. Okay, so this isn't surprising, but you have two successful games already, and you didn't have enough money to pay these people to record these lines and then bring them back in as you update the game, because you're going to be updating the game to maintain your audience, to keep your audience going. And I think it's sold 4 million copies already, and it's only been out since October 21st. I imagine you're going to do really well. I imagine you'll sustain this. You'll maintain a core audience. You'll maintain a core player base for sure that's going to play this game, engage with this game, buy things from your in-game store. Like, that's going to happen, and people are going to continue to buy this game as you update it, as you do 1.5 and 2.0 versions of it and that kind of stuff, right? Like, because that's live service. You expect that from these types of games. So money's going to come in like Marvel Rivals made $1 billion, I thought, like something crazy. I'm pretty sure. Or hundreds of millions of dollars. I know it made hundreds of millions because I talked about it on this podcast. It made at least hundreds of millions of dollars when it first came out. You don't have enough money to pay. That's my issue with AI. It's just a shortcut. It's never even used. Like if you told like because I don't really have a problem with the AI upscaling in games. If you can take the base, the code of the game and the power of the machine and the algorithms of the AI to just run the game better. A game that was made by humans and everything in the game was handcrafted. I'm not mad at AI assisted processes, but text to speech is very, very close to AI generated content. I get that you didn't generate the guns with AI. You didn't generate the character designs with AI, but you're right there on the border. You're right there on the border of content generation to me with the text to speech. And yeah, you figured out an ethical way to do it. You paid your actors, and there are people that I know are honored to be a part of this cultural moment that is Arc Raiders, right? That they're probably honored to record that dialogue and be a part of that. I just don't buy that it made you that much more efficient. Like to me, you're not losing that much time by calling someone in and getting them, we got some new items, new updates, record these lines for this new update. Like that's a part of game. It's been a part of game development for as long as game development has been a thing. And it can't be that strenuous. But I know the dollars that you're saving from doing it, but from having to perpetually or contract these actors to be able to come back and all that kind of stuff, or perpetually pay them to come back, or cut a new check every time they come back. That's what you're saving. And money's gonna come in from this game. And I know that I'm on the more extreme end. I'm Will Smith and iRobot. Okay, I'm very skeptical of all of this stuff, and I'm not interested, frankly, in playing or engaging with anything AI generated, anything. But I try to be fair with some of this stuff. Like it will come to a point where you won't be able to engage with any of these consoles without, and we're kind of at that point with modern day games on PC, like your 30 series, your 40 series, your 30 series, does 30 series use DLSS? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I know the 40 series does, and I know the 50 series does. Use a lot of AI upscaling, right? So you kind of can't avoid it. It's going to be a part of the new Xbox. You won't be able to avoid it in that respect. But generating the content that I'm playing, I am not interested in. That's my line. And you doing the text to speech thing is just lame to me. However, again, I want to be fair. The game is $39.99. And so if you're going to have AI in your video game, it better be less than a fully priced game that I know was built from the ground up from real people. Mafia, the old country, could have been $69.99 for all I care. Everything that I hear about that game tells me that it still would have been worth it at that price point. It's $60. If it was $70, it still would have been worth it. You can get it for $49.99 right now on sale, probably during the holiday season. But if it was $60, it's worth it, right? So I'm just, $39.99. Okay, cool. I'll catch it. I might end up catching this on sale if that's their line. If their line is text to speech, I might eventually engage with it. But there's so much for me to play, I don't need it. Like they could say, yo, we're not making another console for the next 10 years. I'm not coming out with nothing. That wouldn't upset me at all. I got plenty to play. I keep looking at the Tomb Raider trilogy in my cross media bar because I want to play that game so bad. But now I got Star Wars Outlaws kind of scratching that itch because there's a lot of that going on. But yeah, it's just a slippery slope. Once you start there, like that's the next step from procedural generation, especially if you've got AI with text to speech. You're going to do AI generated content in the game, not even just for your content creation. And that's why I hate the word content, because it's such a broad term. What do you mean in your content creation? I need more specifics on that. In the marketing, in the video marketing for it, in cutscenes or what? Like in the processes, like is it assisting your rendering? You know what I mean? Like what do you mean in your content creation? You told us about the text to speech, and you also told us it exists in your content creation. What is that? And I get it. I get it for the drones. Really cool. And I get just like they still kind of vaguely explain it, but if it's an algorithm of some type, it's some type of model that kind of dictates the physics of the drones, and they're of all sizes in the game. I get and you telling me they're not AI generated. So cool. Those are handcrafted enemies. But AI power and its locomotion or whatever, I'm not really mad at that. I just like, once we start finding ways to not pay real people, then I'm not giving you my money. And that's kind of the through line of this whole episode is what are you going to do with your dollar? What is your line? Microsoft has laid off thousands of people in the years between the time I started this podcast leading up to when that next Xbox comes out. Xbox itself will have laid off thousands of people. Like Sony is having to lay off hundreds of people. Ubisoft is going to have to lay off hundreds of people, right? Ubisoft is in a certain type of situation too. But like Microsoft has put the pressure on Xbox to raise their profit margins, but you've fired thousands of people. You don't even have the same workforce. And so, of course, like AI is core to your business. If you're EA, like again, like I don't own Battlefield 6 yet. And I'm still like on the fence about buying it because of the country that owns the publisher of the game. It's owned by a government. And it's owned by a government that if I read a bullet point list of just some of the things that they do and how they live life in Saudi Arabia, you might not agree with the tenets of life in Saudi Arabia. And so for me, it's like, I don't want to really, I'm hard pressed to support a game. And by support, I mean buy with my hard earned dollar, buy a game being published by a company that is owned by that government. I'm just, what is your line though? I'm not going to fault anybody who buys Battlefield 6 because I was really excited for that game. I'm still really excited about that game. And I'm kind of glad that name is successful. As somebody who came up on Battlefield, I'm glad it's having its moment in the sun right now. Millions of people are playing that game. It looks like Call of Duty's Steam numbers, and I'm not the concurrent player guy, but they're not looking too good right now. Right? So, and they're doing everything. Hey, we don't have no more skill-based matchmaking. Like they're doing everything they can to appeal to their fan base right now and kind of like caving to the desires that have been screamed from their community for a long time just to beat Battlefield. So I'm glad they're having that moment, but I don't know if and this doesn't make me better than anybody who is playing it, but I don't know if I can buy it. But I do know I'm not interested in buying anything that just uses AI. Like I grew up on video games that were made by human beings and they were really good video games. Even the ones that were mid were still really good video games. And there are enough games. I got literally 100 games in my backlog. Like sub 100 games in my backlog right now that I can play, that I bought in the last 10 years that I own, that are in my library, hundreds of games that I've never that I haven't played more than an hour or two that were made by human beings that I can play right now and engage with and have a great time because I know that they're good. They won Game of the Year versions. They're the complete editions, yada, yada. They've sold enough that tells me, yo, this must have been a really good experience. I got plenty to play. And so, yeah, I do want to kind of take part in those cinematic moments I'm seeing from Arc Raiders, but at the same time, like, I don't see how you didn't think that game wasn't going to be successful. Like, I know that game development is tricky and that everything is a risk nowadays. It's riskier than it's ever been. You know, back to the intro topic. There's a reason we don't get these movie-based games anymore. They're just not like, it's not even that they're not economically feasible. They just don't have the same profit margins as a Fortnite or what's another popular live service, a PUBG, a Halo Infinite, Gears of War. They don't have the same, you know, all of these companies are looking for the next big thing in terms of IP. And if they don't have that, if they don't feel like they have that, they're going to fall back on their current IP. That's why you always get a Ratchet and Clank. That's why you're getting Last of Us 7 different ways. That's why you're getting Ghost of Yote. You know what I mean? Like the IPs that resonate the strongest with our consumers, that's what we're going to lean into. We're going to take much less risks. And for people who are going to take risks, we encourage you to use AI in your development so you can be on our platforms. You know what I mean? Anything you can to get your great, because we're not going to do it. We want you guys to get your ideas. That's why all these CEOs are coming out and being like, yo, core to our business. Because it's cheaper and their bonuses are going to be bigger. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, is it's more money to be made. We can't point to a single example yet of artificial intelligence, like this type of AI, making a game better. The game is not better because you have a text-to-speech model. The text-to-speech model is not increasing your Metacritic score. And that shit don't matter to me. The Metacritic doesn't matter to me, but I know it matters to your shareholders. And it's not increasing your Metacritic score. Like if you're committing to technologies and things that are making the experience better, again, back to AI upscaling, making the experience itself better, then I could empathize with that. I can understand that. This is just cost cutting, and you're finding a million different ways to say, yo, this just saves us hundreds of thousands of dollars that we can share amongst ourselves. And it's not even ourselves. If there's 200 people in our development studio and there's 10 executives, the extras is really only going to be shared amongst those 10 executives. The little guy very rarely gets a decent bonus that says, yo, thank you for your hard work on this. We're not seeing those types of bonuses in the development community. And it gets tricky because American developers are definitely paid more than their Eastern counterparts, particularly in Japan. Right? Like I saw a tweet the other day breaking down like wages at a particular Japanese studio. And like monthly wages are equivalent to about $2,200 US dollars monthly. And so for those of you out there who know what it is to take care of yourself, you know that $2,200 a month is really not enough to be by yourself in this country. You know, their country is set up a little bit differently, but it's still kind of like when you could work somewhere else and make more money in your field, you know what I mean? It could be better. And so my worry is that for Nintendo saying we're going to look in the other direction as far as like keeping up with you guys' profit margins is we're going to charge $89.99 for Mario Kart. Okay. You know what I mean? Like we're not really looking to increase the wages of our workforce. And I think like at a certain point, we as consumers and as employees, we have to tell these big companies that we are just not interested in being exploited anymore, that there is a line. Which brings me to our final topic of this episode. Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed. It's been delayed to November of 2026. Honestly, I said this, I could care less. Not that I could care less, but like I'm more interested in playing Crimson Desert and they come out really close. So this gives me a whole summer to engage with Crimson Desert. I'm buying less and less games now. That's my next big game purchase. Like I'm getting the whole collector's edition. That's my next one. And if I have 8 months between that, 8 months to have fun with that, pick it up and put it back down for a little bit and then pick it back up before I have to engage with what is essentially my next big open world experience in GTA 6, I'm fine with that. So the delay isn't really the news. This is the thing. I'm going to read you a forum post because this is originally what I was going to report on. But I read an article not even 20 minutes before I started recording this episode today, Friday, November 12th, or Friday, November 14th, excuse me. But I'm going to read this forum post. And this post is what created some speculation in social media about what this delay was about. So this comes from GTAforums.com. It was posted November 6th. GTA was delayed. And then I want to say the same day that it was delayed, or the day before it was delayed, they fired about 32 employees, I believe, and then delayed the game the next day. And even people on Twitter were like, yo, this particular statement about the delay reads differently than when they put out the statement about Red Dead's 2 final delay versus the last delay message they gave us versus GTA 5's delay message. Like, this reads very differently. It reads very quick and spur of the moment. And this forum post to me is a good explainer as to why, and the following article that I'll bring to you. But let's I don't have a name for the person who wrote this post, and obviously they had to be anonymous, and you'll get why when we get into the specifics of it. Hey everyone, Rockstar employee of many years here. Understandably, I want to remain anonymous due to retaliation from the company. And he put company in all caps, very Cyberpunk 2077. But I may be willing to verify I'm an employee with @SpiderVice via DM, parentheses if required. I am also a member of the union. And I came in contact with this post because it was gaining traction on Twitter when it originally came out, because the person who posted it did verify that this person works for Rockstar. I've been reading a lot of the discussion on here and elsewhere about the firing of more than 34 of my colleagues last week, 31 in the UK, 3 in Canada. The UK location is Rockstar North, so that's like the big one. And I've seen a lot of disinformation and lies that are really concerning, particularly concerning how so many folk are willing to believe the company's excuses. Last week, my colleagues who were in the studio were each individually messaged by HR for a short, friendly meeting under the friendly guise of, "Hey, are you free for a quick chat?" Yeah, we some of us know about those, right? The quick chat with HR. Upon attending this meeting, they were handed an envelope with a short letter stating that their employment had been terminated for, quote, gross misconduct regarding posts made in Discord. They failed to provide any evidence when asked, nor was any stated in the letter, and they did not divulge any other information or reasoning, quote, and no other reason. They refused their right to union representation in the disciplinary meeting, which is against UK employment law, and were frog-marched out of the studio with the meeting lasting less than 5 minutes. For colleagues who were not in the studio that day, they received, let me make sure I'm still recording, they received a phone call from HR that lasted less than 2 minutes, telling them that they were fired and that they received the same letter as above. I am aware of one employee who had a panic attack at this moment, and HR hung up on them during this panic attack, not caring at all about their well-being. I want you guys to listen to me very carefully while I'm reading this. These colleagues of mine were hard workers who have spent many, many years at Rockstar in critical roles with colleagues who have been at Rockstar for more than 18 years, and none of them have ever had disciplinary action in that time. They are not easily replaced and will certainly affect us in making our project deadlines. These are very senior artists, animators, QA testers, designers, programmers, and producers, including leads, all super talented people who are proud of their work over multiple Rockstar titles, and all they wanted was the best for Rockstar and their fellow colleagues. This is so sad. Some of these members were off sick, recovering from surgery, or on paternity leave, fired without pay, losing their careers, and putting them into hardship in the lead up to Christmas, and even potentially losing their visas to work in the UK. Let me make this clear. I never saw any discussion/leaking of Rockstar projects in the union Discord. The only ever discussion was around unionization efforts and the working conditions at Rockstar. The Discord was not public. It was a private Discord group that only contained Rockstar employees and the IWGB union officials. It should be growing increasingly obvious to you guys in the audience why this is happening, but it's okay if you don't even think that this is the reason, because they think this is the reason. This was union busting and nothing else. Everyone fired was a union member. They were also predominantly from those who were on the union organizing committees of each UK studio. Just 1 week before, the union had reached just under, and it's got the little sign, just under 200 members, taking us over the 10% threshold required to seek recognition and begin engaging in collective bargaining, allowing us to negotiate directly with management on the key issues that affect us: worsening crunch, inadequate pay, and inflexible working arrangements. They have fired over 34 of us now. There were over 250 of us in that union employee Discord group. There is the fear that if they get away with this, they'll have nothing stopping them from doing this again and again, which is the truly heartbreaking part. As for us in the union, all of our ambition was to make Rockstar a happier, fairer, safer, and more equitable place. Equitable. That's all. What has happened clearly shows that we care more about the well-being of our colleagues at Rockstar than the company does. Again, it's so interesting that they keep capitalizing company, because they are the company. You are the company. You are your country. You are your government. You are your city. You are your state. You know, you are your municipalities. You, the citizen. You, the consumer. You are important. You are the company. But I know why they are capitalizing company. We know what they're speaking to. The people who get the largest bonuses when this game ends up being, regardless of the news I'm giving you right now, it's still going to be the biggest entertainment media product launch of all time, and for a long time, probably until I don't know if I'll ever see something like this in my lifetime. Like the next Cyberpunk won't be enough. The next Witcher won't be enough to surpass what is about to happen when GTA 6 comes out. It's going to be a shift in the culture. The union remains unbowed and is fighting to win the reinstatement of every dismissed member of staff at Rockstar through legal means and campaigning. This fight is critical. If Rockstar can get away with this, they will keep treating their workers with disdain, disrespect, and subjecting them to continued illegal treatment. Thanks for your time, and I hope this is some truth that helps you all understand what's going on here at the moment. If you would be so kind, you can contribute to the fundraiser to support those fighting their dismissal here. It would be very appreciated if you could also share the above link. I won't be cross-posting this to other forums, but please feel free to share. So that's an actionnetwork.org link. This is very, 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 very interesting. I 100%, when I read this was the main thing that had me ready to pod this week. Earlier this week, though, I read this a couple days ago. And I've just really been waiting for my work rotation to finish so I could sit down and record. And then again, I read a new article today, but I want to stay here for just a second. When you can collectively point to that, hey, this is what went wrong. This is what we may have done wrong, right? You're going to ask yourself the question, why did we get fired as a group? Why did we get fired? Because eventually the 34 are going to eventually talk, and they're senior. I think that's the saddest, scariest, worst part of this whole thing is these aren't just little guys, right? These aren't just little guys. And I believe every word of this forum post because, again, of what I'm about to read to you in just a second. But these aren't just little guys. Senior artists. Okay, senior managers of departments and things of that nature. This is Grand Theft Auto 6. There's a water department. There's a ballistics department. You know what I mean? There's departments within the sound department. And you are working and reporting on things that you're working and reporting on, and you have no idea what's going on in this other just sector of the development of this game. For security reasons and just for the sake of your own focus. And that doesn't sound horrific to me. That sounds like optimal development. That sounds like the reason Rockstar is what it is and their games are what they are. Okay? But these are senior people. Clearly they communicate with each other. In the age of Discord, in the age of Slack and Teams and things of that nature, it's easy. So as soon as all this happens, you got a homie over here somewhere else. You're like, yo, I just got let go. Yo, that's crazy. Jen just got let go. And Jen talking to Bob like, yo, man, me and Freddie got let go. What? You and Freddie? Me and Felicia. Like, and then it's like you're looking at the people that, dang. And then y'all saw Oppenheimer. For those of you who didn't see Oppenheimer, whatever his name is, Oppenheimer was on that union type stuff and was preaching that message to the students. And the other scientists, the other professors, whatever they were, the guy played by Josh Hartnett, who were going to be a part of this, man, who knew what was going on and what we were finna have to be a part of and what was at stake. Yo, you gotta chill. You being senior, it's not just the money that you make, it's the influence you hold over your respective, just your realm of being. And in World War II, in 1940s America, you are influencing the students at this one of the most prestigious schools in the country to essentially be communists. Hey, buddy, if you want to be a part of what we got going on over here, you got to shut the hell up. You can't be doing that, buddy. Chill out. And really the only reason we ain't pulled you to the side and pulled you out to the back and or what Don Cheadle did in Avengers Infinity War. You know what I mean? The reason we ain't done that to you yet is because you're one of the smartest people on the planet and we need you. So cut it out so you can do what we need you to do and not bring you out back afterwards. Right? I mean, that's the system. That's the system that we live in. That's the system that we live in. Now that's government and whatever, but that permeates everything. You can't come into any place of business in a capitalist society, especially a large multinational corporation, and say, yo, fellas, we got to unionize. You believe that you can do that because of labor laws, because of certain protections. So you're under the guise that you can do this anyway. And you probably feel incredibly important and incredibly honored to be a part of something such as Grand Theft Auto. And you may be assuming that because of the implied success of the game, no matter what, that game could come out like Cyberpunk 2077 did on PS4 and Xbox One in the same state, and it wouldn't matter. I'm telling you, it wouldn't matter. It would still sell the same. Right. So you're a part of something that you know is going to make billions of dollars and you're important. So surely we can make sure, especially post Red Dead Redemption 2, where there were so many reports of crunch time in development, a lot of overtime and yada, yada, yada. And your company coming out and saying, yo, we want to make sure that never happens again. We want to make sure that we're a lot better, that we handle our employees, that we show them that we value them. You did the song and dance with Red Dead Redemption 2 to manage what could have been a real PR disaster. But people really didn't care about that kind of stuff back then. The general public didn't care because the general public wasn't as broke as they are today. So to try to get ahead of what you know is going to be an issue, you delay the video game. And you think because you're Rockstar that you're going to be able to get away with this. He said it. They said it. Yo, we shook. The fear is, if they're doing this, that any of us that have already committed to being in this union could be let go, and that they'll prioritize the game over us. They'll replace us because there's always somebody else who will take your spot, no matter what level you are in the company. You could be a mailman. You could be the dude like Sam Witwicky in Transformers 3 with the mail cart. There's somebody that's going to take that opportunity to be the man or woman pushing the mail cart at Rockstar North in Edinburgh, United Kingdom. There's somebody, and because that capitalism is designed so that there's somebody who is willing to take that spot that you lost, not because you were bad at your job, but because you dared ask for more rights in your workplace, in your place of work. Where I work, I'm not going hard for the brand. I'm not trying to lead the brand to the next phase of life. I'm there to get my check and do everything I can to get my check, do what I'm supposed to do. I go above and beyond every now and again, but I'm not a hardcore dude. There are people within the company that I work for that really like, yo, this is my bread and butter and I'm going to go hard. So, and there are people that exist that when they come in, as I was where I work, or that are very excited to be there, and that the things that you may be talking about, that you may be dealing with, your qualms with the company, they got nothing to do with a new greenhorn like me, new blood. Nah, who cares? I'm happy to be in the building. This is this is the big building. This is like the building with the benefits and the yada yada yada. And I'm not having the experience that these people at Rockstar have, but I know that I can't start going around where I work and say, yo, let's create a union so that we can protect ourselves and protect our rights as workers. We don't have those labor laws that even give me the confidence to move that way. They have the labor laws that give them the confidence to move that way in the UK. And Rockstar is saying, yo, we have enough money to do what buddy did in Guardians of the Galaxy, where he wound up that middle finger. That's what they're doing. We have enough money to do that. It's mentioned in the next article that I'm going to read. They got almost $500 million in tax relief from the United Kingdom government, from Parliament. Almost $500 million in tax relief. They are saving so much money, making so much money, and they're not even $500 million in tax reliefs, and you're only going to lose about 60 million in delaying this game. 60, 70 million in market cap. This game's going to make $1 billion, maybe $2 million first weekend, first week that this game is out. Everyone is going to have it. There are people who are not going to be at their jobs. They are putting in their PTO. November 26th better be the one. And thank God that the delay came out in time that you can go cancel the PTO you already put in and say, I need it for this. If you were on that type of time, it's going to stop the world for a brief moment. It's going to stop the world. And so I feel for these men and women who just believe that because of the caliber, surely not this place. Surely this place in this age of AI, where our CEO is saying on MSNBC or CNBC, whichever one, I don't really feel like AI is essential to what we do. The human element is essential to what we do. And at Take-Two Interactive, Strauss Zelnick said that the human element is essential to what they do in game development at 2K, at Rockstar, at all of that. So you think you work in a place where, hey, like they probably don't even want much. I imagine they don't want much. But we live in the age of FAFO. F around and find out. And Rockstar is about to find out. This next article comes to us from Video Games Chronicles, from Chris Scullion. Make sure I'm still recording. 220 Rockstar North staff have signed a letter demanding their fired colleagues are immediately reinstated. The 31 employees have accused the Grand Theft Auto studio of illegally firing them for unionizing. More than 200 employees at Rockstar North have delivered a letter to management asking that their fired colleagues be, quote, immediately reinstated. Earlier this month, we know that over 30 staff were fired across its offices in the UK and Canada for what it called gross misconduct. Last week, the Independent Workers Union of Great Britain, the IWGB, alleged that the employees were fired because they were part of IWGB Game Workers Union channel on Discord and were either members of the union or were attempting to organize a union at Rockstar. So that's what they're alleging that. That's what they believe. Rockstar replied with a statement in which it claimed the gross misconduct in question revolved around the sharing of company information in a forum that included non-Rockstar staff. Earlier this week, the IWGB issued a legal claim against Rockstar, claiming the employees were dismissed, quote, in circumstances that we believe amount to victimization and collective dismissal linked to trade union activity. So they've a legal claim, like this is what it is. Now the union says 220 current employees at the Edinburgh-based Rockstar North have delivered a letter to senior management condemning the firing of 31 employees and demanding the immediate reinstatement of their colleagues. One former employee, who the union is calling Peter to protect their identity, said in a statement, "It's heartwarming to see so many of our colleagues supporting us and holding management to account. During a period where Rockstar wants us to feel scared, my brave former colleagues are marching straight up to our boss's door and demanding our voices are heard and not backing down. It's clear to everyone close to this situation that this is a blatant, unapologetic act of vicious union busting. Rockstar employs so many talented game developers, all of whom are crucial to making the games we put out." IWGB organizer Fred Carter added, "By deciding to fire more than 30 union members, Rockstar have carried out an Amazon-style act of union busting, unprecedented in the gaming industry. This is a company that benefits from more than £440 million in UK tax relief, while displaying a callous and blatant disregard for both the livelihood of workers and the letter of the law. Rockstar has always insisted that its decision to fire the employees was due to gross misconduct and no other reason, stating, 'Last week we took action against a small number of individuals who were found to be distributing and discussing confidential information in a public forum, a violation of our company policies. This was in no way related to people's right to join a union or engage in union activities. Protests are planned to take place outside of Take-Two Interactive's London office and its Paris headquarters today, followed by a further protest outside of Rockstar North's main Edinburgh office on Tuesday the 18th. And I got a picture here. Fired Rockstar staff protest outside of the Edinburgh office last week. So yeah, that's what's going on. The game been done. The game been done since last year. The game been done since that first trailer came out, and they've been polishing ever since. And I want them to polish as much as they feel like they need to. But I don't want anybody overworking themselves to polish a game that you know you're going to make billions of dollars off of in the first year of release. You know you're going to make that much money. You know you're going to eventually, within 5 years, become the highest selling console game of all time. You're going to eclipse the games that you've already released. You're going to release this game over and over and over in various versions and various editions. When your online component is finally online, you're going to make so much money off of shark cards and everything else and all the microtransactions, because this is Take-Two. And because of what 2K is, I know that, and because of what GTA Online currently is, you're not going to not do that for GTA 6. You're about to make billions, 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 and billions of dollars off of this one video game. In addition to the success you're finding with Borderlands 4, in addition to the success you're finding with NBA 2K26 and the next NBA 2K and everything else that you have coming out, you're going to be able to develop so many AAA and 4A, quadruple A games off of the strength of the profits of GTA 6 alone. Yeah, sure, the game is $1.5 billion. You're going to make $2 or $3 billion between November 2026 and November 2027. You're going to. Especially if you charge $69.99, $79.99, $89.99, $99.99 for this game. And for me personally, the reason that this is important to me, the reason that I will be following this story for however long it's going to go on, and I will be watching Rockstar closely, is because I will not be paying $100 for a game to buy a game from a company that has fired this many people and is listening to the voices of this many of its employees, at least 10% of your employees, 200 employees. There's about 2,000 people working on this game, and 200 developers are saying, "Yo, we're not with what you're doing." 10% of your work, 10% of your workforce, 10% of your development force saying, "We're not with this. Reinstate our people, bring them back." Because they're not telling you they don't want to do the job. People are asking, society at large is asking for their human rights to be respected. And this is not a political podcast, so I don't want to get into everything that's going on in the world. You can do the math, you can fill in the blanks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. People are now being put in a position. They were fine with the amount of exploitation that was already going on. They were fine with the amount of advertising that was already going on. They were fine with you pushing. I'm not trying to get too deep, but people were fine where they were as long as they could eat, as long as they could sleep comfortably. That's all they've ever wanted. That's all most people have ever wanted. We live in a world where it's now difficult to have even that. But we still are trying to innovate in all of these industries. I don't care how long it takes for you to come out with Spider-Verse 3 if it means that you're not going to treat your animators the same way you did for Beyond the Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse, the second one. I'm totally fine waiting 5, 6, 7 years for what I think is going to be the greatest threequel of all time if it means that you treated your animators with respect the entire time that they were crafting your masterpiece. Because you, the producers, you, the distributors, you're going to make more money than everybody else involved. The non-talent, the non-creative talent, those names that you see, executive producers, those people are going to make more money than everybody else involved at the ground level. And it's not that they didn't earn and work their way to where they are. But the people that you're hiring to bring to life these incredible works of art, treat them with respect. So we'll see how this goes. I hope, sending positive thoughts, that they maintain the strength to hold out, because Rockstar has enough money to just see how long you're going to hold out. But also, if the public outcry ends up being as negative as it needs to be, you have to, hopefully you hire those people back. Hopefully you figure out a way. You're going through what you went through with Red Dead 2 times 10,000 to me. People weren't protesting outside of the offices when it was coming out that like, yo, the last like 8 to 12 months leading up to Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out, there was a lot of crunch going on, a lot of like mandatory overtime. We were tired. We couldn't see our kids, yada, yada, yada. Like you just had to deal with articles coming out, but there were no protests. Whatever you did in the dark still ain't come to light behind that. If because we know how y'all do. We know how y'all handle leakers. We know how y'all handle people that are dispelling information. Dude is in a mental asylum right now for leaking GTA 6. I don't even know. We never even talked about that as a society. We just glossed over that ever happening. So I know what type of time you're on, Rockstar. And me being the hypocritical consumer that I am, I forgot until right now that you put a dude in a mental asylum for leaking gameplay of your unfinished work. Of a game that, regardless, like you're not Insomniac going through it with Wolverine. We were never going to question whether or not GTA 6 was going to be good. We were going to buy it and find out. We're going to buy it and find out. And the masses, forget Twitter, the people who don't engage online, aren't listening to gaming podcasts, they're going to play that game regardless. People are going to buy that game is going to sell consoles. So no, girl, and it's not because you're a girl, but person in this podcast, this is not why they're delaying GTA 6.
Sony is putting grease in the palms of Rockstar a little bit, putting a quarter in there, shaking hands and saying, we have something in the works for a console that we plan to release in 2026. Mm-hmm. And this is a very bold prediction. I think that Sony is greasing the palm of Rockstar because they plan to release a new console that they hope to bundle with GTA 6. And I think they are hoping that by greasing the palm, that Rockstar will delay their game a little bit and Sony can use...
Interesting.
Y'all don't see her co-host looking like just making faces because he can't say, you sound insane right now.
Like you said, I don't think Rockstar needs Sony. They need a AAA game. And they're like, hey, if you wait a little bit longer...
$1 billion.
I mean, yeah, if you wait a little bit longer, I think we're going to have something.
This is from ESR_TV. It looks like a production company. I don't know how corporate it is. But at this point, like, I wouldn't trust any gaming podcast that's not the Working Class Gamer podcast. But I'm definitely not trusting somebody that don't understand how console cycles work. There's nothing coming out next year. There's no Wolverine is coming out next year, bro. And they're gonna have to come out in October or something. They're gonna have to come out September, October of next year. They got now they got to crunch at Insomniac to get Wolverine out of the gate before November. You need a Ghost of Yote situation. You need to be out a full month before we start getting into the big fall shooter. You know what I mean? And this is the one. Call of Duty should probably take a year off. And I know you're going to try and get out at the end of October and all that kind of stuff. Good thing Battlefield 6 got the foundation laid so that whoever going to be playing it, going to be playing it next year. And there's going to be a dip. Everybody going to see a dip when GTA come out. But no, it's not delayed. And people get on the mic and say anything. Again, shout out to my producer. You're my producer now at this point. Shout out to my producer, Shape, for helping me put all my information together. People are getting on the mic and saying anything. That is not what's going on. Because if you've been keeping up with any of the news, everybody telling you, yo, we come in 2027. 2027. Because Rockstar, yes, they do need Sony. What are you talking about? They don't need Sony. They need Sony. They develop software, and software needs hardware to run on. And Sony, after telling you, hey, we learned our lesson from the PS4 generation. We're not going to abandon PS5 just yet. We're going to we don't got nothing coming until about 2027. We're going to be right there neck and neck with Xbox, yada, yada, yada. They're not coming out with nothing next year. That's our exit. Maybe a better PlayStation Portal, some more controllers. There will be PS5 and PS5 Pro GTA 6 bundles. Make no mistake, every holiday bundle is going to be GTA 6 next year and whatever Astrobot type game they have coming out. Wolverine bundle for sure. But yeah, bro, don't get on the mic and say anything. That's a distraction from what's really going on. And I'm putting this on TikTok to replace that. Because the delay is because they know that they have to deal with this. And I guarantee you they weren't anticipating. And if they were, that's really sick if they were. But they weren't anticipating 200 and some people protesting them. continuously. Standing up for them people. They weren't expecting that. And I don't see how you don't expect that in the age of the internet. You can't do nothing quietly no more. You can't do nothing quietly. I don't care how big of a company you think you are, whatever you getting off in the dark right now, you only gonna be able to mistreat human beings quietly with nobody knowing for so long. Eventually, we have to see it in 4K. And we have to confront that reality, and we have to make choices. And like I said, I'm not paying, if the game is $99.99, and I've said on this podcast, I would willingly pay $99.99 for a GTA 6 because of what it is, the polish, the scale, everything about it. I would have gladly paid $100 for Grand Theft Auto 6 before this debacle. Before you start firing people, before you start busting unions. Because people aren't asking, the guy that's making 60 grand isn't asking to start making 100 grand. The guy that's making 60 might be asking for 72. Especially if he or she can prove their worth. Or maybe they want 65 and better benefits. Or whatever they're asking for. Maybe they want the same salary, but just an overtime cap or something. Guaranteed weekends off, something. Some of this, you have enough people and you can scale however you want to satisfy the needs and rights of your workforce and get work done. You can 1099 the dude that don't mind coming in on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The intern, the whatever, you can contract all of that stuff. You can fill in those gaps for the cheaper than this. Because you don't want this, if you're Strauss Zelnick, you don't want this to cost you the $200 million, 100. Let's say like, listen, you drop this game for $100, 1 million people say, I'm not buying this game. You can't afford 1 million people saying I'm not buying this game because of how you treated your union. If you would have sold 10 million copies, because that's the difference between 900 million and $1 billion. You can't afford 1 million people globally, and that don't seem far-fetched to me. 1 million people coming together and saying, "Yo, we're not buying this. I'm not buying this." That's all it takes is a few tweets going viral saying, "Yo, I'm not buying this." For groupthink to set in, and then more people say, I'm not buying this. And you miss out on millions of dollars in potential profit. Versus however much money you save firing these people, it can't be worth it. It can't be worth it. It can't be worth it. I know it's not worth it. I'm confident, at least I'll say. I won't say I know, but I'm confident it's not worth it. I'm confident it's not worth it. And as it stands now, I'm gonna stand in solidarity. And when I give you guys my point, that's just me. This is part of the entertainment of the Working Class Gamer podcast, because a few of us got to say enough is enough. I'm not hearing this in the news for Crimson Desert, which is my most anticipated game, arguably, of the entire generation of the PS5 Series X console cycle. It's my most anticipated game. If I hear a story like this, I'm not buying Crimson Desert, but I ain't heard a story like that. So as of right now, I know that there's still a game that's going to satisfy me fully in 2026. Starfield is still on the way to PS5. Bunch of experiences I got right now on my system that I ain't touched yet. Discs on my shelf that I haven't touched yet. I have games to play. I don't need this. I just can't. Once HBO Max starts putting out AI generated content or whatever, I'm done. Unsubscribe. Netflix, I'm unsubscribed. I don't even pay for my Netflix now. You think I'm gonna pay for Netflix? Y'all start putting out AI generated slop. That's your favorite word on the internet, slop. This is slop. Firing 35 people for engaging with their coworkers, for daring to come and ask you for protections and acknowledgement of their rights. You're not getting my Hyundai from me. Crisp blue Hyundai. You're not getting that from me. I don't need it. I don't have the GTA San Andreas and Vice City memories. GTA 5 is a great game. I beat it 3 or 4 times over. I never was a GTA Online guy, but I put hundreds of hours in that campaign in between 2013 and today. I was there on 360, day one. Got that game for my birthday. Day one, I was there. I have fond memories of GTA 5 on that Xbox 360. And then on PS4. I played a little bit on PS5. But I got fond memories of that game. If that's my last Grand Theft Auto in life, so be it. So be it, bro. I can't. Humanity matters to me. And in our favorite pastime of video games, it should matter to you too. There's enough. Me and the homie talk about this all the time. There's plenty of stuff to play. There's games from 10 years ago we ain't finished that we got saves in the cloud for right now. I'll gladly give Star Wars Outlaws 100 of my hours. Assassin's Creed Shadows, another 30 hours. I got plenty of great games that I love that I'm fulfilled by playing. I don't need this. I wouldn't feel good about it. I wouldn't feel there. There are other examples I have in my head, but I won't get into them. But that's me. And if you've got that feeling in your, if that story don't sit right with you, if the story of union busting, if the story of, hey, you as a worker should not have certain protections, you don't deserve certain rights in this workplace, you come here, you do what I say, and you take your ass home. If that kind of sentiment don't sit right with you, you don't buy that game either. I would implore you not to buy that game either. When these developers, when these publishers start telling the management of their developers to incorporate AI generation in their game development instead of hiring artists and programmers, don't buy that game. Because they're not trying to be more efficient. They're not trying to be better. They're not doing this for the environment. They're not doing this for the betterment of society or the betterment of their games. They're doing this to line their pockets with even more money. And at this point, for what? The president of Bungie was burned a bunch of cash just buying cars. And now the developers are the brand is in disarray. Marathon has to work, or this is the end of Bungie. And I don't even care enough to report on it until it happens. But Marathon has to work. Destiny 2 is a fart in the wind now. There are people still playing it, but it's not doing what it needs to be doing. Sony said that. And Bungie in the news again a couple days ago. Not really working out. But look at what's going on. The greed that is leading these companies. These games are not what they used to be. We still, thank God for developers like Sucker Punch and Naughty Dog and Obsidian Entertainment. Even Bethesda, honestly. I mean, the way they package stuff sucks, but the people who work there love making games. You can tell when you play their games. At Nintendo, you can tell these people love making games. Let's prioritize these people who love making our games, creating our entertainment. But the way the system is set up, these people who run these companies are of a completely different mindset. You and I are the only people that can slow this up. We can't stop it. It's capitalism. We live in a capitalist society. And honestly, we don't have enough people. Maybe we do. I don't even want to speculate on how many people we have that could potentially turn the tide of what society is. But it is what it is. But our dollar is still powerful enough as consumers, as everyday working class citizens to say, I'm not with that. I'm not with how you treat your people. I'm not with how you develop your games. Just at least hold the people you give your money to, you give your tens of your 20s, your hundreds of dollars to, at least hold them to task for how they're making and distributing your games. Is it ethical? Is it ethically sound? Is everybody involved taken care of? And is it being delivered to me in the most ethical and efficient way possible? Like, yeah, the data centers it takes to run Epic Games and Sony and Microsoft to keep these robust online systems going, yeah, they take a toll on the environment. Not nearly as much as the supercomputers and just reactors needed to power and cool the supercomputers that run these different AI programs like Gemini and Grok and everything like that, and generative AI and Sora and all that kind of stuff. The cost just isn't worth how cheap and frankly lame a lot of what I see come out of just the AI sector of creativity. It's all lame. I ain't seen nothing better than Warhammer Space Marines 2. I ain't seen nothing better than Stellar Blade. I haven't seen anything better than Final Fantasy 7, 16, 10, 10, 2, whatever. there are games on PlayStation 2 better than what anything could be generated via AI. I'm telling you, it'll never be better than what a human can make with human-made technology. And this is overlooking what it takes to even put these consoles together. Because even that's a bloody affair. Literally. The parts, the chips that it takes, the silicon it takes to put this stuff together, even that's a bloody affair. This is an iPhone 16. We have to draw a line somewhere. And at the very least, like, you can be ignorant about what's going on in the Congo because it's just not being broadcast to you. It's very difficult to be ignorant to workers in your class of living being like, and it's kind of, it feels effed up to even classify it that way. But I could see how someone doesn't know what's going on in the Congo behind what it takes to put your phones and your consoles and computers together. But have a heart for the people that celebrate the same holidays that you celebrate. You know what I mean? You know what it means to be or not to be able to provide a Christmas for your children. You care about that. Draw your line. Or do we got to go to the Vice City strip club that bad? Do we have to know what goes on with Jason and whatever shorty name is and see the new jiggle physics? I'm not trying to get too preachy, man. I just draw your line. Because Far Cry 5, I still got to beat that. You know what I mean? And that's not just as appealing as GTA 6, but it's close enough. I'll play Sleeping Dogs again. So, anyway, you guys have been with me long enough, man. And I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. If you're with me till the end, and I see the group is growing slowly but surely. It is growing. The people who engage with this podcast, and I thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. Share this with a like-minded friend. Share this with a friend that's interested in conversation, interested in these types of conversations. We have to hold the space for these conversations, even in gaming, because it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be a communal experience. You know what I mean? And I just thank you guys for your support. So this was episode 15 of the Working Class Gamer Podcast. I'm Director Warren. I will be back soon. What I'm going to be streaming, don't know, because I'm figuring out where I'm drawing my lines. So with that in mind, you guys be blessed. Wherever you're watching this, I hope you're blessed. I hope you're well. Know that you're loved and appreciated. God bless. Peace.